I'd love to have the person listening, because we keep hearing about it. And from a Christian perspective, explain what a quantum computer is.
Sure.
Explain you have here, chapter 3, quantum consciousness. Why is this a game changer for knowledge, technology, and artificial intelligence, crunching data, as we know? Why is that part of, we think, the end of the age?
Yeah, well, the artificial intelligence thing, and then I'll deal with the quantum computing, because I think these two are going to merge.
Yep.
The artificial intelligence thing is extra scary because specialists are saying that within 5-6 years, it's going to have more intelligence than the culmination of every human on Earth. Meaning, it's going to be able to solve problems we can't solve. It's going to be able to shed light into mysteries that we have no idea, no way of calculating or figuring out, and it can do it basically in an instant. That's where it gets moved into quantum computing, because right now, classical computers, when they do a calculation or when they try to solve a problem, typically they have to do it like one at a time. They have to
sequential, basically.
Yeah, it's sequential. Quantum computers can do all of the options all at once and then find the right one. So an example that I use in my house, when you first go into my house, on the right side there's 3 light switches, and one of them turns on and off the porch light. One of them does the living room light, and one of them doesn't do anything. And for the life of me, I just can never remember which one is which. A classical computer, to solve that problem, would turn each one on and off, one after another to figure it out, and then it would be done. What I do is more what a quantum computer does, and I just turn them all on and then just turn them all off. Uh-huh. The only difference is when I do that, I still don't know which switch does what thing. I'm just turning on all the lights because I'm just don't want to figure it out and I don't want to waste any time. Mm-hmm. The quantum computer would be able to tell immediately, mm-hmm. and it could do it with more than just 3. It can do it with billions. The scary thing is, all of our biggest encryptions, things where we like government secrets or like bank financial information, banking, all of this, a lot of it is built on these really hard, difficult math problems involving prime numbers. These just incredibly large prime numbers. Something that, and they're equations that are so complex, it would take a classical computer billions of years to figure out. Because again, it's got to go through one at a time. It wouldn't be able to do it. But a quantum computer can do it within seconds or at most minutes. The scary thing about that is that's what all of our encryption, the important stuff, is based on. So once quantum computing hits the mainstream, like once it becomes consumer friendly, which it is now, they've actually figured out how to, one of the biggest problems in the past with quantum computers is how to make it stable, because it deals with really, really tiny particles that are really, really fragile, and any little thing can mess it all up. Well, different companies have now come up with different ways to combat this problem. There's 5 or 6 different ways right now that they're doing it, and they all work. So it's not going to be long before this is going to be mass produced for consumers. But before it gets there, it really depends on whose hands this is going to fall into. And it already exists now. So experts are worried about and warning about what's called Q Day. That's the day where quantum computing gets into the hand of, say, really anybody. It could be a hostile government or hackers or anybody, where they can use quantum computing to gain access within seconds to all the governments of the world, all their secrets, banking information. They could steal money from anybody with this stuff. And they're trying to develop protections for this called quantum computing resistant techniques. But the problem is that's going slower than the approach of Q Day. And it's because everybody's on the internet all the time, and it's all encrypted in the way that it's encrypted now. So to change all of that, you have to do that while people are still on the internet. You can't just shut down the internet for the whole world while you figure this out. And I use this analogy. It's kind of like if you found out, like in New York City, if you found out that there was a group of people that had developed a skeleton key to every building, and that this one key would work to any building in the city. So the solution is, well, we have to change the locks to every single door, but you're doing that while people are going in and out of doors and doing all these it's like impossible. Mm-hmm. That's I think that's a really good analogy for how difficult it would be to implement these quantum protections. So most likely, and I theorize in the book, most likely somebody's going to get their hands on this first before protection can be put in place, and then we live that's Q day, and we live in a totally different world. I don't know what that looks like for people like you and me. I mean, I would probably want to pull all my money out of the bank and
so would a lot of people, right?
Yeah, get cash or silver or something. I don't know, but something. But by and large, worldwide, whoever can control this, whoever's the first to control this, can basically control the world. And that makes me think, how is it the Antichrist is able to get so much power so fast? Mm-hmm. Maybe it's something like this, or maybe it's already been put in place. Because I don't think we're going to have to wait till the tribulation to see Q day. I think that's going to, I mean, depending, the rapture could happen now and tribulation could happen tomorrow. So it depends on how it all works out. But that's one of the major kind of frightening things that's happening right now today, and most people aren't aware of it because it's not really being publicized. It's not really out there.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that, I mean, we look at this stuff and we read about it and we're intentional. Mm-hmm. But I imagine, for I know back when I was pastoring and I had other responsibilities, right? As you do. And I've always loved prophecy, but I wasn't necessarily reading about quantum anything full time, right, or writing about it or whatever. So you start. So the typical Christian is like, well, okay, yeah, I'm not an expert on that. It seems kind of weird, but our point here is simply to say what we're seeing is another indicator.
Yes,
that we are approaching the last days of the last days, which is again is what you're documenting here in these books. And you go into as well in the second part. Again, that was just, a small few pages of part one.
Yeah.
But in part two, you begin to talk about the signs in the supernatural, which again reminds me of what Jesus said, that there's supernatural interference in the days of Noah with the sons of God and the fallen angels. And we see through the book of Revelation, we see demons being unleashed. We see other angels interacting with humanity, bringing the seven trumpets, the seven bowls. Jesus is the one that opens the seals, but you see the four living creatures involved, mm-hmm. Them saying, come. So there's no doubt this window that has often been a very hard separator from our normal life. Hebrews 13:2, we entertain angel, but unaware. Right? So unaware. So that window, that dividing line between realms, if you want to say that, has been pretty stark. But that's going to change. Mm-hmm. And so I think what we're seeing, though, is I do think that most of what that description is going to happen inside the tribulation. Yeah. But we are seeing the
birth pains.
The birth pains. Yeah. That's a good way to say it as it relates to the beast system being established and implemented and the technology coming to play. Mm-hmm. So, and you talk about, again, the supernatural elements. You bring up, and this is kind of fun, you talk about shape-shifting Nephilim, angelic genetics, doppelgangers, bilocation, plasmoid orbs, Israel and the UFOs. Maybe talk for a moment at plasmoid orbs. Yeah. What in the world, if people don't know what those are, explain to the audience what those are.
Yeah, people have been seeing these things, but it's a relatively new.
Is this something I see on my camera when I see like that, a dot on there, an orb? Is that what you're referring to, or not?
Well, sometimes people will look at a star and they'll zoom in on their camera and it looks all funky and they think that's what stars really look like, or they'll think that's an angel or something. Yeah. That's just it's a phone camera. I know different
because we have telescopes to show that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not talking about that, but it is weird though, because some of the things that people are filming, it's not like as far away as a star, it's a lot closer, but it still does look weird. And the reason the term plasmoid orbs actually came from a scientific paper that was studying these things. And so in the book, I go into a little bit of the paper, and the paper's really complicated, as a lot of scientific papers are, but I try to break it down as best as possible. But they don't really reach any kind of conclusion. It's just basically like, yeah, something's happening. And people really started seeing these things around when the New Jersey drone stuff started happening. I don't know what the connection there is. I don't think these orbs are necessarily the drones themselves, because And again, I have to caveat it with saying any video can be faked, any picture can be faked, any interpretation can be wrong. One of the more convincing ones that I saw, though, which led me to write this chapter, actually our very own Bob Ulrich sent me. Emailed it to me, and it was a TikTok video of this, and probably a lot of people have seen it by now, but there's this TikTok video of this woman in broad daylight, and she sees something in the sky, and she zooms in on her phone, and it kind of looks like just this sort of orb with these spindly things coming out of it, and she's talking to it, and she's like, "Hi, I see you, who are you?" But then she says, "Do you know Jesus?" And then the thing starts like vibrating and kind of...
It looked like it responded to her words.
Yeah, look, and then she's like, "Oh, you do know Jesus? Yes, we love Jesus." And I can't say, for one thing, yes, that video absolutely could have been faked. To me, it didn't seem like it was, but I don't have a background in that. I can't tell just by looking at it. It seemed real. Could be faked. But even if it's not, I don't know if it's responding because it doesn't like the name of Jesus, or if it's like an actual angel and it's just getting excited about it, and because they're extra dimensional we can't see the whole thing and we're just seeing a piece of it. I have no idea, but that video got so popular and other people started coming forward saying that they were seeing stuff too. So there's this phenomenon of people seeing these plasmoid orbs. I did a video on it because I wanted to know if there was something to it, and usually it helps if I get like my audience's feedback. So I said, "Hey, have any of you seen this?" And, you be honest, and it's okay if you don't have evidence of it or whatever, but just like, have any of you seen this? And overwhelmingly, I got a lot of people that said that they have seen similar things recently. It's like a recent phenomenon. And so I thought it was interesting enough to put in the book and write about it, and especially with the background of that scientific paper, it at least caught the attention of some scientific researcher writing about it. But to me, the main takeaway that I get from that, from the whole phenomenon and what I write in the chapter, is I really like the L.A. Marzulli approach: rebuke first, ask questions later.
Yeah, exactly.
So I advise people, if you do see something like that, a good angel will never be offended if you try to rebuke it in the name of Jesus. It just won't. Nope. It won't have to respond to it. It's not going to be offended. It'll actually probably expect you to do that. But if it's a fallen angel, you absolutely want to rebuke that first, or if it's something demonic. That's why you always rebuke first, ask questions later.
No, that's really good. And it's just, again, it's another determining piece of evidence where when you look from, basically, as we know, there were people in 1947 with Roswell all the way, there's, several thousand of documented sightings of something strange in the sky, UFOs. Now, some of them are Venus, some of them are that, we know. But there's others that are truly unexplainable, which is why, let's just say it, which is why our Congress is having, meetings about these unexplainable, unidentified flying objects, coming in our country, around military bases and other things, enough that the Congress is now wanting answers. There's so much evidence from whistleblowers and others. So again, it's just another sign that we're in strange times.
Yeah, totally unprecedented. And I remember I grew up on the X-Files and stuff. And in that show, it's like the government's so powerful and they'll never let these secrets go. And then anybody in the real world that like pushed for government disclosure were laughed at and not taken seriously. And it's just amazing that after that Tic Tac UFO thing that most people have heard about by now, that news broke in late 2017, early 2018.
David Fravor on Tucker. Yep.
Yeah. And once that broke, all of a sudden, I think that was the first drop of disclosure. We've been having a slow drip of disclosure. There hasn't been a time where they just come out and said, "Okay, we've got this." It's seemingly slow going, but it's a lot faster now than it was like when I was a kid, where the Congress wouldn't even talk about it. News agencies wouldn't even cover it unless they were making fun of somebody.
Exactly.
And now it's being handled as an actual serious topic. So yeah, to me, it's like time is getting short. You better get right with Jesus.